Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to the lead series. And I am your wonderful co-host, Grace. I'm joined by one of our wonderful co-hosts as well, Lucy. And today we have a special edition. This is a wonderful, wonderful episode in honor of the International Women's Day, which is today on 8th March. This is a global celebration for the social, economic, cultural, and as well as political achievements for all the women within the globe. And we're diving into the topic that's closest to our hearts as an organization. The theme of IWD this year is Inspire Inclusion. And for that, we felt that it was very, very important that we have a guest with us here today. You're seeing a very beautiful young lady beside me here. She'll get a chance to introduce herself as we continue. But just to briefly touch on it, she is a gender advocacy expert who has been tirelessly working in this specific field to empower young ladies, empower young women from informal settlements, Korogocho, Mathare. If you are looking to have an episode that would literally impact you, literally give you that knowledge, that pathway to ping on to somebody then who can be able to provide a safe space for you as a girl and as a woman, as well as just empower and elevate where you are, this would be the perfect episode for you. So as we head into it, Madam Elizabeth, you can introduce yourself to the team, and I think we'll just be able to dive right into it.
Thank you, Grace. My name is Elizabeth Ogutu. I'm the Director for Creative Generations, and currently I'm doing Adolescent Girls Empowerment Program in Mathare. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us. And I think one of the key things that we should mention as well, that Elizabeth is one of our alumni, actually. Mm-hmm. Lucy, I know maybe you have some very strong ties with Elizabeth in that.
Sure. Elizabeth is one of our alumni, one of our own. We call them one of our own. So over the years, she was here in 2011, I think, Elizabeth?
Yes, 2011.
Yes, so since 2011, she has transitioned to different positions that I know during her introduction, maybe as we go on with the conversation, she'll be able to let us know or allude to them, the many positions she has served. And I'm glad that she's here. Yes.
Thank you.
We're very happy to know that you guys can come back home after so many years. 2011.
Yeah.
And it's 2024. So the fact that Elizabeth, you still remember us, you still also hold us dear. Sure. And even the line of work, you can see the route that you've taken. There's some inspiration, there's some similarity. So maybe you can tell us, since 2011, there have been very many strides before you sat down and innovated about creative generation. What does that entail for you? What is your day-to-day basis? What was the journey all the way to creative generation?
Mm-hmm. I joined Creative Generations when I was in ACWICT. Mm-hmm. That time, I found these youths that were interested in theater. Mm-hmm. And we'll formulate messages just for entertainment purposes. Mm-hmm. But then we decided we can use this entertainment to empower, to educate the community. Mm-hmm. So we came up with more skits on drugs abuse and these gender-based issues and early marriages issues. Mm-hmm. So we will partner with other organizations that use mostly to facilitate our movements here and there, because we were young by then. But again, as the time goes, I went into, actually, ACWICT got me in my first employment.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, actually, ACWICT made who I am. Mm-hmm. ACWICT made me who I am. It was, you perform well, you're guaranteed job. Mm-hmm. And that's an opportunity that I had to grab very well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So on my first employment, kind of it sidelined me a little with the creative generations, mm-hmm. because I was focusing on employment. But I didn't really feel satisfaction of just going to work and you get paid and you come home and you're looking young generations, girls that you feel like they're not really making good decisions with their lives. So I had to quit. Actually, I quitted my job in 2018.
2018, after 7 years. Huh?
Yes, after 7 years of employment. I quitted my job, and there I had to look for creative generation, people that were existing that time. I'm like, guys, what do you think we can do this creative? We can come with a different approach in the community. We need to rehabilitate. Our girls are really lacking focus. So many people were too much engaged in employment. You know, Kenya, life has to move on. But I had to take a very tough step of standing with this organization and really shifting, mainly focus on young women and adolescent girls. So we had to focus mostly in Mathare. Mathare is the second largest slum we have in Nairobi, generally in Kenya. And we had to do need assessment in the space, and we see that girls lack a lot of information about their own selves, their bodies. They don't know which decisions to make in a certain situation when it comes. We also had to understand which kind of challenges do they go through in the society. So that need assessment helped us to really structure something that which approach that we can use, because they have the solutions. So it's just a matter of coming together with them, thinking together, and then how do we eliminate and make sure that girls have voices in this community. They can speak and they can be listened to, and also to empower them to be able to take action on matters affecting their own lives, because we won't be there 24/7 to like we are watching over them, but we needed to empower their inner power so that they can be able to speak whenever they feel like they are being intimidated or in any way they're being deprived their rights. And by doing so, we also had different interventions of getting through this way of empowering adolescent girls. We had we have to include the community. Because community plays a very bigger role in denying these girls this power. Yeah. So when we empower the girls and they're trying to exercise the little activities we've given them here and there, try and do this. When they try, the community find its resistance. So we had to involve the community that to have a better community, we need to include these girls in many activities that happen in the community. And by including them, it means that we can listen to them. What views do they have? Because, you know, it's a young generation that come up with so many ideas. But because they feel they can never be listened to, even if they are heard, they can never be listened to. So how well can a community really incorporate the ideas of everyone in the community just to have a better society? And we also include stakeholders, government officials, and other people from different private sectors that really serve communities. So that how else can we put our efforts together? Because our agenda is to make sure that we have a better society. So how else can we put our efforts together to achieve a bigger goal? You achieve your goal, I achieve my goal. Like for me personally, my organization is focusing on SDG 5. When I talk about SDG, people understand. SDG 5, you might find another organization is focusing on SDG 4. Another organization is focusing on SDG 1 or, and so forth. But if we put our efforts together and we emphasize on our today's topic of inclusivity, if we put our efforts together, you can achieve your goal. I can achieve my goal.
And we all contribute to the larger...
bigger goal, to have a better society.
And you mentioned something really, really key, Elizabeth, that you had to then again move back to the community, not just to the young women alone. And that I feel like that really speaks to the theme itself, Inspire Inclusion. That means you got to a point and you realize that as we educate our young girls and women, we need to turn around and educate the same society we are looking to send them to. So that they can be able to then accept educated and empowered young girls and women. So then in that pathway, in the pathway of involving the community, bringing them in, educating themselves as well, how to accept empowered young women and girls. What are some of the challenges that you faced, either individually or together as a whole and Creative Generation, in getting to the community and getting them to sit and understand that an empowered girl is not a threat,
is not a
threat to the society, is not a threat to the male, our counterpart gender. It's just not a threat. It's actually an advantage. So what are some of the challenges, what are some of the walls you face when you're trying to bring the community in?
Figuring that again, we have these people are in community. These communities, they have their different cultural values that they value within the community that they are in. So we would want to hear about that.
Okay. So community has a lot of expectations, number one. First of all, coming with an idea that you are an organization, they want money. Immediately they want money. And we got a challenge even from the girls and women themselves. They have this perspective of people come here, they make money from us.
Yeah, sure.
So kind of they are rigid with the information to when you're doing your assessment to see how we can resolve this. So we had, first of all, to create that trust that we are all here for making our community better. For that reason, men, they're like, you focusing on women more.
Sure.
So they are also giving us a lot of hard time. When we call for many meeting that involves communities where we need parents, rarely you'll find a man attending. They don't show up. They only let women go. You focus on women, let women go. But there are challenges ladies tell us, girls tell us, that these challenges we need to discuss with male figures, and we don't find them. So that's a very big challenge we find. Boys who are the real perpetrators of these girls, they claim we are focusing more on girls, we are not focusing on them. So they saw, actually I remember this boy who said, you mungangane tu siturapea mamimba. Yes. So it's a lot of resistance. Like we are focusing more on girls. We deny them attention. Now it's like we are fighting. Let's see who will succeed. Is it you who will make this community better? We are going to make it where we are going to make sure all these girls get pregnant.
And that is the misconception.
That is the misconception. So we had also to involve the boys, that we can have few boy leaders attend some of our engagements with us, because we used to have open forums. We call it girl-led debates, whereby we have boys and girls debating about these challenges, and they are bringing in points. You know, boys are also telling their side, and girls are telling their sides. Eventually, they will come to a conclusion because they are sharing this community.
Yes, sure.
So another biggest challenge, it was from the government side, because there are areas like in Mathare, government fear those areas. Government, whether police, where they fear those areas. But those are the areas girls complain to be harassed more. The harassment comes from those areas, but like I remember the time I've been in Mathare, I've served. I don't know. This is a 5th chief I'm serving with in Mathare, because when they come, they try to put pressure on this issue with local brew alcohol. They are shifted. They are shifted from the area because it's said that alcohol belongs to who knows who in this government. That's why that problem is never resolved. Drug issues. Girls, we had a girl who tried to get out of these groups. There are these groups that you get in and you can't get out unless they release you. Unless they release you.
It becomes like a small prison now.
Yeah, you become like a prison, because once they have their marks. Once they give you some level of stars or dropping tears, once you have a certain level, you cannot get out. So it's like we are fighting with this gang. We want this girl to reform. This gang is fighting us.
That she cannot reform, cannot take her from us.
This girl. So there's a lot of resistance in the community, bringing this idea of wanting to make girls being independent.
What Elizabeth has really reminded me something. Working with women and girls from either marginalized community or informal settlement is not an easy thing to do. I've just remembered, as ACWICT, we usually take keen note of that. It's our mission. Those are things that we do. I remember when we got to West Pokot. Now West Pokot is at the heart of it all, where all those different challenges that you will talk of, that a woman or a young girl would face, are all brewed there. So I remember so well, when I got there, I started a program, a small program beside what we do. Of course, it was empowerment, purely empowerment. And we were doing some IT, we were doing some technological, empowerment to do with the young women who are running to the safe spaces to continue with their education. Then I started a small program that we used to do in the evening called Girl Talk. So for the Girl Talk, I remember I used to assemble just a few girls. You know, they are girls who have run out of their home because of early marriages and being forced to FGM. So I was talking to the girls. And then I remembered, when I assembled the girls, the men would come and surround the girls to hear what you want to tell the girls. Do you want to poison the girls against their cultural values? So I had to change the whole perspective. I had to change all the approach and started talking to the parents first before I even engage the girls. So what Elizabeth is saying about engaging the community first, even before you even think of the girl child, is very, very important. It's an approach that works.
Actually, speaking of cultural beliefs and norms and religious beliefs, there is also a challenge. You know, Mathare, it's a metropolitan. People with different cultures live there under the same community. There is these people that have their own belief. Parents ferry their girls from Nairobi to their villages to go through the initiation program processes. So how do you talk to this parent out of this thing? So you're trying to empower this girl here in Nairobi, but she has no choice. She has to obey what the parents are saying when they are taking you in the village. You find there are also some religion that purely authorize a girl marrying at a young age.
At a young age,
So this girl has nowhere to go if she doesn't accept what the parents are suggesting, that, you know, at your age, you need to get married. And it's very unfortunate that that thing is still happening at the heart of this country in Nairobi. But underground. Unless you're in these communities, you'll never know.
You can never know. You can think that everybody has
everything. And it's unfortunate that even children officers in these areas, they don't know that these things are happening because no one is going to report. Girls, they don't know that it's my right to go and report this to children officer because I'm still a child, and this children officer will take over from there. Maybe will get me a rescue place or I'll be helped. They are so much intimidated that you do what we say in this house, or else you have nowhere else to go. So we are also having a hard time to making sure that these girls understands their rights. And if your rights are violated, you have these people that can help you. This children officer can help you. This police officer can help you. And we try to link them to the rescue places that are available.
I think that's very important also, the fact, and also listeners with us, the fact that empowering young girls and women in the community does not mean that you're destroying structures that were there. I think the ability to be able to dissociate those two would then, it's a big fight. I can tell it's a very huge fight. We are still not winning, but eventually as we continue to, you know, hurdle through, I think once we achieve that differentiation from the community, that because I'm empowering Ms Elizabeth here, does not mean I'm destroying the structure and the culture that was there before. In fact, if anything, if Ms Elizabeth is empowered, she will add on to it and continue to add on to it. So that's something I know. I mean, it's a large fight. It's very much to take on. But it's something that I know, even for the three of us just here and any other woman listening to us here today and resonating with some of these challenges that come through. You understand it's a big fight, but we are willing to take it on, no matter how long it will take. But we can be able to break through it.
Speaking of parents having a perspective that when you empower their girls, you're really spoiling them. So we had to come up with a program called Parenting for Respectability, whereby we get through parents through some training about parenting. so that they know that when you involve your child in this parenting, a child also becomes a very responsible child.
Yeah.
So it's not about fighting. When you're setting the rules of the house and you engage this child about these rules, they know if I break these rules, I was among the people who are forming these rules. So we are trying also to make the parents understand that we are not really spoiling the children. We are making your parenting work easier. Yeah.
And so even from just that one example, you can imagine the self-discipline that would come, knowing if I've contributed to the rules, how do I break them now?
Yes.
As compared to these rules have been forced down my throat.
Yes.
So yes, I'd like to break them. You can see that difference there very clearly. Thank you, Ms. Elizabeth, on that. And Lucy, also thank you for the experience you brought in Ms Pokot. I think ACWICT has gotten a chance to also reach out to young women in such conditions. Especially, I think you and many other women within the organization in the programs. So to have that kind of experience, and also for you, Ms. Elizabeth, to have that kind of experience to actually see that there's vulnerability and see it in front of your eyes, and then at the same time still have a hand to play in trying to mitigate and solve and show somebody that there's a light, show a young girl there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not just, this isn't all that it is. It's never this difficult or bad. There is hope for you at the end of the day. I think that's something that then speaks a lot on just our unity as women and the feel that we want to continue to build ourselves up, in a system that is almost designed to continue to press us down or make sure that we are not, reaching our full potential. And with that, Elizabeth, you've touched on the community, you've touched on bringing men on this side, bringing women on this side, bringing them to the same table, understanding their different roles in this specific topic. I'd like you to share your thoughts on just inclusivity. Why do you believe then that inclusivity is crucial as we go down to the ground and empower X woman, X girl, X? Why do you think inclusivity is important as we're empowering women? Should we continue to just deal with women alone, or should we bring in the men? Will it negate the fact that we are saying women empowering, and then kidogo you have seen a male figure there on the corner? What do we tell our women that it is okay, do not worry, this is it, or no, go away, this is specifically for us, and in that, do you believe that then that inclusivity has a role in the work that you've been doing for all these years, and specifically with Creative Generations?
Thank you, Grace. Inclusivity, it's needed in every aspect. Whatever the SDG you will choose to tackle, you still need inclusivity. SDG 1, it's no poverty.
No poverty, yes.
To eradicate poverty, you need to include, everyone needs to feel like I have a responsibility to play in this society. So you need to include them. SDG 2, it's SDG 2 talks about it has escaped me, but from all those SDGs, education, third one, healthcare, fourth, gender equality, fifth, all those things you need to include people to feel like we are really members of this society. And when you are empowering women, men need to play a bigger role in empowering these women. Because that's why when we do our sessions, there are sessions we insist we need men
to be present. Us. Yeah.
Actually, sometimes we insist we need a couple.
The couple itself. Because we also want this man to understand that the rights you're depriving your woman, how do you expect to get happy children when they have a powerless mother? And most of the time, it's the mother who spends time with these children. The children.
So what will you do as a man to make sure that your woman is comfortable, is also parenting your children in a better way that you will want? Same applies in the community, because we have happy families. We have a happy community where everyone feels, then I remember those, I'm old. Then, a community, we used to respect every parent.
Yeah.
Every parent was responsible for every child in that community. So if any parent will find you doing something wrong, will punish you.
Will punish you there, yes.
And your parent on behalf of your parent. And your parent is okay with that. But it's the community we have right now. My child is my child. Nobody touches my child. So we want to go back to those days where people had a lot of togetherness. Community will feel this is our place. We have to make it safe. You don't see another person's child going astray. And you're like, that is not mine. So we want to go back to those days. That's why men, we need them on board. We need to include men on board. Inclusivity builds people's confidence. Because it's like, even in your house setup, if you want to build your child's confidence, learn how to listen to that child. Because the more you listen to, even if it's a wrong answer, but build confidence.
They feel that they belong.
Yes, I belong. My mom listens to me. So just say it, even if it's wrong, you'll correct
You'll be
later.
corrected, yeah.
Yes, and then next time you'll know, I made this mistake and I was corrected. So the same happens in the community setup.
as well.
If you want these people of community to be responsible, as at a government level, that's what I will say. They should let people of the community own their own community. They should, men in their own houses, families, they should include their women in decision making. It's unfortunate that when we were doing our baseline, we were asking this question that who makes most decisions in the
household,
in the household, and many were saying it's the father. Father, who makes the decision about what you will eat? That could be the mother. Who makes the decision which school you will go to? Is the father. Who makes the decision when to get married? There is a father tells you, my daughter, time is running out. You need to get someone.
You should get someone and
you
go live with them.
And you see, Grace, and that is why I normally say sometimes, empowering your woman, bringing inclusivity to where we want it to be, it doesn't mean that we are fighting a space. Normally, sometimes when you talk about, I want a woman also to be, I want to be in that table where decisions are made, people mistake it to, we only activists. Like,
feminism.
Feminism.
They touch it on feminism.
They take it so negative as if there is something. You'll even get into some communities where you're getting, they have that perception, like now what ACWICT was experiencing in West Pokot and maybe Turkana. I like quoting Turkana and West Pokot because those are the most diverse. Yes. Where they say that you want us to empower them, to educate them so that wakwe na kichwa ngumu. You see, the kichwa ngumu is being brought. Not knowing that if you are embracing that inclusivity, there are a lot of ideas. And I used to ask them, since you formed a family, there is nothing positive ever that this woman has ever contributed to. You will hear them even say, mimi maneno mingi ninaongea na mama ananiambia. But now you see, they would want to make those decisions sideways and come and inform them, the woman, not bringing them. And that is why I normally say, we hear and we get a lot of tigers in offices. You'll get a boardroom that is very locked, few men seated somewhere, making decision on behalf of them. But now who is in that shoe? It's this woman here. So inclusivity doesn't also mean that we are fighting any man anywhere. It's just to be heard, because at the end of the day, we make decisions that are also important. An example that I will give elsewhere. Suluhu is somewhere, right?
Yeah.
She's a woman in Tanzania.
Well, congratulations as well.
Not to go into politics, but is she not managing?
So as I was saying, inclusivity, even in workplace, if you don't include your staff, if it's a business, there are high chances it will collapse. If it's an office, there are high chances it's not going to run with good office etiquette. So inclusivity is needed in every aspect. And it's not fighting, it's just listening. Because if you don't listen to me, you will not know which idea did I have. inclusivity, it makes people become more innovative. Because you had a thought, but if you're included, you're like, I had this thought. That thought can be something. But if nobody includes you,
then it just dies.
It just dies. It dies with the fears in you that no one will listen. So inclusivity, it's needed in every aspect, whether in corporate, whether in a family setup, whether in a community. People need to be included. It helps people with the people who are able differently.
Yeah.
Before we used to call them disabled people. If they were not included, they will not know that I'm capable of doing
this.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but if you include them, they get to discover the potentials that are in them before they could see themselves that I'm disabled. There's nothing good that can come out of me. But when you include them and you also listen to them, it builds their confidence and they can say there's something good that can come out of me.
And that confidence is very important, Grace, because now, if it's the third rule gender that we are fighting even to get at the government, at that level, if we don't start building the confidence from down here, are we going to achieve it?
Yeah?
And that is why it's even difficult, because a woman will stand and say, hata kitambo nifike pale, zile mawe zinaenda kunipiga. Mawe zinatoka wapi? From the communities that we live in, isn't it? Lack of that confidence. I start even lacking the confidence from I lack the confidence, the community will lose confidence in me, and I'll not even reach there. So at the end of the day,
it just fizzles out of you.
Just
the
like
potential just goes away, wasted like that. And I think that's one of the most impressive things I've had, Elizabeth, in such a long time. That then inclusivity improves confidence, reduces, and actually, if you're really keen on it, then deletes inhibitions entirely. All the insecurities, maybe the self-doubt on whether or not you can be able to achieve, or whether or not you have a space as a woman in whatever field it would be, because you can feel, for example, if it's a male-dominated field, you wonder, do I have space here as a woman? Should I really go fight all that when I can just double down, relax, and go back to something a bit more comfortable, a bit more welcoming but once you included, once you look at inclusivity as widely as Elizabeth and Lucy have talked about here, then you realize that it's a stepping stone. It's almost like that adrenaline rush that will continue to give you that grounded belief that, look, it's possible. Just if I get myself there, if I'm part of the conversation, if I'm making sure that if somebody is saying something, let me hear, let me understand, then slowly and slowly you will get into the system, and then now you get a chance to make a difference.
Sure.
You'll be now there, you'll be a game changer, you'll be in the big table. Then what do? You turn around and come back to the community and tell us, look, I crawled. I really crawled, but I want you guys to walk. I don't want you guys to. You walk. I crawled. I suffered. I went through it. Sure. But now you guys can walk. And if Lucy walks, she'll come and say, I walked. You run. You run. I will come and say, I ran. You sprint. So you see that domino effect almost. That once you just drop it like this, then it will continue to trickle down. And it takes a while, obviously, to integrate deeply into a community and change the mindset. Especially if we have been raised then to see women very differently. Like you've mentioned, we are seeing women as objects of, it can be anything, whether you're just here to provide a family, you're here to take care of children, you're here to fetch water and come back and cook.
Speaking of that, I remember in one of the trainings, we were doing this like a little activity where we put there some items, a rope representing grazing of animals. We have car keys, we have a laptop, we have some dishes, then we told men, go pick things that belongs to a woman there.
My goodness, I can imagine.
Only dishes. And some kids' medication. So they also put side of for women. And this house chores. Then we are like, this woman you're denying rights is the one you're trusting with the medication for your child.
Imagine.
You love your children, but the medication for children you put inside of a woman. Don't you think if the woman is not happy, worse can happen? Or if a woman is not empowered, she can even give wrong dosage. Wrong dosage. So you need to include the woman in everything, build her confidence if you're going to trust that woman, even with your own life. You get? So we came to find out that women do a lot of key roles in the family, but they really don't have
But they're
voice.
still diminished.
They're still
diminished.
Exactly.
Almost like it's usually a saying within, I think, our culture as well, for those who might be listening away from Kenya. When the child is succeeding, it's the father's child.
It's the father's child.
Mtoto wa baba. Stupid one is like a mother.
When the child is a bit, struggling, we're not saying, and a struggle to kidogo to pick up and find where they truly belong and what's purposeful for them, that's the mother's child. That one, si yeye ndo anakaa na mama kwa nyumba. How are you bringing up a child like this? And so now the blame shifts. You want to only take it.
Shifts,
you want to only take the glory once there's success and or at least perceived success of this child.
Yeah.
But once there's a bit of lack,
That is
instead of support, instead of understanding, instead of nurturing, you can lack in this one, but it does not mean you lack in everything.
Yeah.
So we can either improve here, or I can tell you, look, this is just one aspect of who you are.
Sure.
There's so many other things that make you, that you're able to succeed in and that you don't lack in. But then no, there's nothing like nurturing that child. It's huyo ni mtoto wa mama, the mother's child. Why are you raising a child like this? How you must be the stupid one as well.
Yeah.
That's why you're raising a stupid child, because it cannot come from me. You'd hear such conversations happening that now the man, it's not possible. It can't be from my side.
Yeah.
It's because you're the one who's staying with him this entire time. And I just thought about that example, just wondering how then the society looks at it in that way. And Elizabeth had mentioned something actually very key, how, as you're in Mathare, how difficult it is with the government at that moment in time. And you've also just continued to talk about the different ways in which the government can be able to support and improve in this specific initiative. And I just want to dive into, aside from the government, the private and development sector. What do you think? Or even us three, all these different sectors, government, development, private. How can we collectively improve this journey? Because the journey is there, the pathway is there, but then there are clearly bumps, there are clearly walls that we keep fighting. You fight a wall, you move, you turn your back like this, like Lot's wife, and the wall has reconstructed.
Sure.
So you're wondering, am I really working towards something when everything I've done behind me seems to keep falling down, or seems to keep restructuring itself into something stronger? So how can we collectively then continue to improve and continue to push this agenda of inclusivity and empowering our young women and girls who are very much vulnerable in any situation it might be?
My thoughts, though, government has tried including women in many positions. These government sector positions, they have really tried. Actually, many chiefs have worked with their women.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's a wonderful
statistic.
Yes, they are women. So government has really tried. But now the problem is with the community. Community, how they perceive a woman being in that position. And women ourselves, we are our greatest own enemies.
Yes, that's very.
Yeah, when you see a woman in a certain position, you're like, you don't think that woman will serve you better as a man would have served in that position. So private sectors, they are trying their best. Though government is not sensitizing communities on what a man can do, a woman can do it. This job you're entrusting with a man, trust it more with the woman. Will still do it, though they tend to say women react on emotions. But these women have gone to trainings and they know what they're doing in the communities, and they are really serving communities so well. It's just that they're getting hard time with the community people themselves. Private sectors, I feel like they have been like organizations and NGOs. They are the people who are like carrying the elephant in sensitization part. They are carrying the elephant. They are the ones you have to come up with the program. You have to go do it in the community. And little support from the government, truth be told. Little support from the government. Government believes organizations have money.
Yeah,
they have funding.
They have funding.
It will be taxed.
In fact, they even want you to give them something if you will have to invite them to listen to these community people, they will want you, our organization fulani, hawa wako na pesa. Yes. Toa kitu. So I feel like that aspect, it needs to be dealt with. And also on other private sectors like organizations, people have also gone to an extent where they don't want to eradicate the problem so that they don't get funding anymore.
They want the supply of funds to keep going.
They don't want to kill the demand because the supply will reduce.
So keeping you in that situation is keeping me in a good situation.
Yes.
So because you're vulnerable, if I do accomplish the mission, I will no longer be coming here.
Yeah, exactly. That mentality. So we have so many things we need to deal with. So let's deal with one thing we finish. And then once we do this inclusivity thing, we have other things we will go and deal with. But organizations don't want to really eradicate the problem because you will not write, nobody will fund you when the problem is not there.
When it's not there?
Yes. So we feel like we also need to up our game as people in private sectors, that these are our communities. Our children are going to intermingle with these children. You get that parent, that mother who is not informed, who you think that is not well behaved. Maybe it's the son who is going to marry your daughter that you raised well. So why can't we just make sure that the community is safe for everyone? Because you never know where yours will fall. Yeah.
That's very
so
true.
I feel like that's a bigger part that private sectors, we also need to play our part. And I will encourage corporate world. You know, I remember there was this on Giving Tuesday, people invited me in one of their functions. And many people were complaining that fundraising money in this country, it's the hardest thing someone can do. But people have CSR money. They can be helping these communities.
You know?
So corporate world should also support more people who have really come out to help and eradicate these things in the communities. They should support them so that we finish this problem once and for all, so that everyone is included and we have a happy community. That's my thought.
And I think you've also, just before I hand it over to you, Lucy, you mentioned something very key, as actually 2 points that I'd like to touch on as well. There's something you mentioned earlier there, that for you as a woman, would you be trusted with the same with the same opportunity, with the same if I can even just be more specific, is it the same job title? And you mentioned a statement that, you know, for they tend to believe for us we just overreact. We are dealing with it from the front of emotionally. And it reminded me a book I was reading some time back on self-realization, but on the perspective of women and being in touch in your femininity and being a woman's woman at the end of the day. And there's a line that said, you know, they make it seem that for men, they can only react. And then for women, we can only overreact. So it can be the slightest reaction that, for example, Ms Elizabeth can give the slightest reaction to something here, but it is an overreaction because you're a woman. And a gentleman can have the same exact reaction, but he just reacted. That's how we should have reacted. So I feel like even within the corporate world, within the development world, that women are deprived such positions of leadership because they believe once you're in that position, you will overreact. You will lead this organization or this company from emotions, and this is business. We are looking for somebody concise and precise. But you don't even understand if this specific lady is precise or concise. You're measuring her on something that has nothing to do with the skills of that specific position. So I think that was very, very key to highlight, that at any moment in time, you might feel that you're being cornered and you're told you cannot be your true authentic self as a woman because it's too much, because it's just emotions. But do not let that get you down. Feel that your voice will be heard. Speak at any moment in time, your opinion, so forth. Do not cower into that it's an overreaction or it's just emotions. Or even if it is emotional, we are human beings. We are emotional beings as well. So that, you know, that almost taps into a whole different level of trauma of a society we are building that does not know how to deal with emotions, and thus results or resorts to extreme measures because we don't know how to deal with emotions slowly at a time, understand. Now, if somebody will resort to such an extreme measure, if you can jump into violence, you can jump into something else because there was no bridge here where you could be able to analyze and understand the emotions you're going through. And then too, Elizabeth happened to mention just almost at the tail end here that within the NGO world and the need to keep the situation as it is, to increase or at least to maintain the supply, of funds. And one thing that I just want to highlight there for all the listeners, even if then you're within the development sector, just because you solve the problem and, for example, you elevate that society, you elevate that community, does not mean the funding will stop. It means the funding will stop for that specific problem. But now, since you've empowered this society, they can innovate, they can create, they can develop. Now you can bring in a whole different perspective, a whole different aspect, a whole different avenue of funding. That look, now this, it's rising, it's growing. So clearly there is a hunger for innovation. So can we fund some young innovators here? We sit them in a think tank, we help them through the innovation process, we take them through some mentorship. So you turn the funding becomes much different. The funding now becomes okay, let's improve, let's solidify on what we've done. We've moved them from A to B, but there's still I don't know how many letters of the alphabet. So let's solidify on that. So the funding continues. It does not stop. But then now it's just not on the original problem, the same issue that we started with. That one you've done and solved. Now, think more things. This is not enough. They can innovate. They can create.
Like the issue of, let's say, GBV issue. This GBV issue has been fought. Organizations have come, many working on the same issue of GBV. But the way it's being handled, it's still you don't really want to finish it, because if a woman will report a violence case, it will be talked down here. It doesn't go anywhere. So this woman knows that in case it happens, there's nowhere you can go. Even if you go there, you will not get help. So they choose to keep quiet. That's why the GBV violence, it's going on. The FGM. Honestly, right now we should not be talking about FGM. At all. Women are still going through this gender mutilation thing. But because people don't want to finish the problem, there are those who are still making sure it's still happening. Because if FGM is done and dusted, you can imagine who will come and start trying to fight FGM, and people still want to be getting funds on that. So what I will just seek the private sectors, let's fight one thing once and for all. Because once we deal with this inclusivity, once we focus on inclusivity, the 17 SDGs will go smooth like this. We will finish with that, we go to the next thing. You finish, because every community faces different challenges. It's not the same setup. There are people in the rural that are facing totally different challenges with people in slum here in Nairobi. People in Kisumu are facing different challenges with people in Kilifi. So make sure that the community is included. Then maybe go to education now. How do we deal with this education issue? Finish with that. Now people are educated. Employment.
How do we deal with that one?
Employment thing. But we cannot be dealing with, we are having a lot in our hands that we cannot even be able to achieve one.
And we are putting our hands in so many. So definitely this one you're only giving 2%, 2%, 2%.
So you end up not achieving anything of them
at the end.
So private sectors, like for us, we are working in consortium. 3 organizations we came together, we're like, what's your goal? It's empowerment of women. What's your goal? It's the young mothers. Marisha Kenya deals with young mothers. What's your goal? It's to build confidence of the girls. It's the same goal.
It's the same goal.
We can come together and we do this and join hands so that we get a bigger picture. So that's why we are working in consortium with my colleagues.
And Grace, maybe just to add on that, for me, once, like what Elizabeth is saying, we have so many things, we have so many battles to fight.
Yeah.
If we could just concentrate and just to hold on now what the topic gives us, I think whoever thought of the topic knew that when we embrace that inclusivity, other SGDs or any other thing will just fall in place.
It will fall in.
It will just fall in place. Because whether you're talking about healthcare, you're talking about education, you're talking about women in leadership position and all that, it narrows down to inclusivity, isn't it? Because if you don't give a chance, you will not realize what best this person can do. Everybody has a role to play, whether it's the government, whether it's the private sector, whether it's the community themselves, because again, we are talking about the same thing, the same big fire that we are trying to put off starts all right from the families. We just talked about the gender roles, right? Like example that she sadly gave out that things were there, khakis, everything, and nobody is picking a khaki for
the lady. Are we not supposed to?
No one picked a khaki for
and I was just
even
today,
a
very early in the morning,
and we had a smartphone and Katululu. That small phone.
That Katululu was given to the
for the woman. The smartphone was for a man who does she want to chat with.
Usiende kwa internet, unafanya nini? The same thing. Today I was talking to a colleague, Thomas, and I was telling him that today I was a cab lady. Alinichukua. Tukireverse tu hivi. Una reverse kama mwanamke. Hakuwa ameona like
the car behind.
Hakuwa ameona ni it's a woman. But already ashamwambia, una reverse kama mwanamke. And then the woman was like, na hawa hata wajui ni mwezi yetu. It has been like this. And funny enough, she was even telling me sadly that some women request, they see it's a woman, they cancel.
Yes.
Her name is Lucy. They
coincidentally.
They cancel. Yes, why? Vitu kama hizo. So what are we saying?
They believe women are not good drivers.
Just
that misconception
from down there, from
actually
our community,
stereotype
our
is the
family,
correct one.
stereotyping, knowing how to fight with our own biases and stereotypes. It starts from there. Then it escalates from the family to the community, from the community now, because where are we getting people from the to come work in the private sector?
From the community.
It's from the community,
so
right?
If they move with
and
that
why don't
mindset,
we embrace now what ACWICT is doing? ACWICT usually strengthen its structures from down there.
From the community.
Inclusivity. You walk here, look at the percentage when it comes to inclusivity. Our brothers are there. We have them in here.
They're represented,
But look at the representation and it doesn't mean that we are fighting anything. It's just getting that representation so that we strengthen the structure.
And that's very, very key. And thank you, Elizabeth and Lucy, for that wonderful rendition on just how then not only the government sector, not only the private, not only the development, but then down to the smallest unit that we recognize, which is the family.
Yes.
Which is then the most important, the most key in how characters are shaped and how communities and societies are shaped. So if we could be able to hit at that structure, at that level, and then just almost use a funnel approach, because like Lucy have said, it's the same people within the family that then transition into all these different sectors. So if we can start it from there, have that mindset shift as early as such a close, a close-knit faction as the family, the nuclear family, then we can be able to see the results as the community continues to grow.
You see, in a family, women, especially if you are not married, you can never talk. Who will listen to what? They literally shut your mouth. You can have a man of the same age in the same family who is not married, but will be listened to.
It's
but
not
the woman, you are a certain age and you're not married. The family already takes that confidence out of you.
They even tell us that when you're 25 and above, you're no longer single, you're unmarried.
Yes.
That's how they'll tell me you're not single.
Yes.
Like a man will be 25 will be single, you're unmarried.
From 26 is rescue mission.
Rescue mission, you're struggling, you're fighting for dear life.
That is what the community wants us women to feel. But it's not what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
You get? It's not what it is. Be bold, be who you are, speak out, whether you're married or you're not. Nobody should ever shut your mouth because you're a woman at a certain age who they feel like you cannot talk because you're not married. And let me say this, even at a government level, a woman who is not married trying to venture into politics, my friend, what you will hear, unless I don't know which kind of layer of skin you need to deal with that. To fight through it, To fight through that. So it starts with on a family level. Let a woman be a woman. She's a complete human being, a full grown up. And we have some religious beliefs that a woman cannot speak at all. Even your first son reasons more than you. You raised that, you gave birth to that son. You've raised that son, but now can be listened to than you because you're a woman. So we need to include women in all aspects. Women raise kids most of the time than men, like spending time with kids. Yeah. So if this woman is inferior, you will have, I don't know which kind of kids you'll be raising. And then the society will be. And then now going out here, that daughter will not have confidence. The mother never had confidence. And that's why that's where we are starting at the family level. So from the family, let's build confidence from the family level. Community also, it helps kill this stereotype and prejudice issues where they feel like these kind of people don't deal with them. Yeah. You've never listened to those people to understand which kind of people they are. Maybe they're just good people, but because they love maybe their own space, you're judging them. So inclusivity, it will help you understand these people better for a better community. Definitely, yeah. So that's why inclusion, it's needed everywhere, right from the family level, from your child. Then to be a better parent, include that child. And then we will have a better society.
That's very, very key. And for our listeners back home, just as we wrap up, and we take this wonderful time to speak on International Women's Day, the theme which is inspire inclusion and all these different aspects, the challenges, what we have to go through, and the things that we need to improve on, or even just the strides that we've been able to make so far. I'd like to hear, and we can start with Lucy, move to Madam Elizabeth, and just as we close out, the young women, young girls who get an opportunity to listen to this episode, listen to some of this wonderful conversation we've had here, and listen to our opinions on all these different matters. And one thing is that they'll relate to one of the many examples we've given here. It's unfortunate, but we understand that it's still true. Sure. You'll find that they'll say, you know what? Yes, I was denied a leadership position, and I see your point. Oh yes, I was denied this. I see your point. So forth, so forth. So one way or another, they might relate to what we've been able to share here as fellow women, as fellow girls. And as they're listening now, what do you think? How would you be able to inspire them? What inspiration message would you give them? So almost like, look, there's a light. It might be dark right now. It might be the darkest moments that you're in, feeling as if then you can't be able to break through the societal pressure, the societal stereotype, and just be able to find a space where you can be able to thrive. But one of the key things that I think we've noticed as we continued with our different lives and grown up is that when somebody who's been able to experience much more speaks to you and lets you know that, look, there is a pathway, then you almost now actually say, you believe it by yourself and say, yeah, but if they've been there, then there is truly a pathway. So Lucy, Madam Elizabeth, you can give one key message to inspire our young women out there on this wonderful, wonderful celebratory day as we just be able to wrap this wonderful conversation up.
Yeah, so Grace, for the listener, for the young women, young girls who are listening out there, and not also to forget our young men who are at the support system. Now this is direct to the young woman out there. You're not a lesser being. Yeah, you're not being born a woman. You're not a lesser being. So what I normally tell people, or what I normally advise as a mentor in the field that I've been for quite some time, speak out. Yeah, just speak. The way Elizabeth just alluded to earlier. If the table is you are not invited to the table, invite yourself. Yeah, stand up for your right. Stand up for, and don't confuse it with being rude. You see, like, I'm not saying that we are rude. We become rude. We tell ourselves, I cannot do this because I'm now enlightened. I know my rights. What I'm saying is, you just stand up for your right. Stand up for your right without stumbling into the. I know there are legs or people's heads that you'll need to takanyaga kidogo kidogo ndio ufike pale. But what I tell people is, don't fear to speak out. Kitu kama ni mbaya, just stand for what you stand for. And then this perspective najua nasema hivi, but because ni mwanamke, it could be a yes for a no. No, you just be bold and stand for what it is. I know together it's a fight that we are doing. We are not saying that we are ending it today because it's International Women's Day 2024, but the small efforts that we are bringing on the table, the what we are trying to illuminate out there by speaking out, it will get to somebody's ear, and together we forge for an equitable, a leveled ground where everybody can fight and get their own share. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Madam Lucy. Lucy as well, just to, I think as we wrap up, has been an alumni. Actually, the three of us, as we sit here, coincidentally, are all alumni of ACWICT. But Lucy is an alumni. She studied here a very long time ago, obviously before I understood these matters as innately as I do now, for the virtue of being quite younger than them. But she studied here. She actually taught me as well as I studied here. She was one of my trainers. I hope she does not give a refresher course at this moment in time. We might bump heads here and there. But you can see that through her, also her hard work, her persistence within this particular field, she's now in positions where she can be able to speak and make a difference and reach out to fellow young women and girls who are starting in the same position or who might even be in a position of giving up. So thank you very much, Lucy. Thank you. You have been a wonderful co-host as well. I think I don't think we've ever co-hosted together. This is our first time, but I think it's been a wonderful opportunity. And I think we can hear from Ms Elizabeth, your key inspiration message to our young women and ladies.
What I can say for the young women out there, there's still hope. Have a goal. Write down your goal today. Whatever the situation, whatever the barrier, make sure you achieve your goal. Whatever the circumstance, it's not going to be a smooth road, but make sure you achieve your goal. Resistance force will be there. People will tell you cannot make it. People will discourage you. People will tell you what you're trying to do, no woman has ever done it. Whatever you're trying, many women have tried, they have failed. You break that history. Break that barrier and show them that truly women can do this. So what I want to encourage our young generation girls, as you set that goal, try to associate your daily life towards achieving that goal. Don't set a goal of, I want to be the best surgeon, but whatever the footsteps you are following is of a musician. You will be confusing your own self. That's when you'll be proving that no woman can make it. So set your goal and make sure that whatever small things you do daily, it's towards achieving that goal you've set by your own self. Try to associate yourself with the people who are going to help you achieve your goal. Don't set a goal of you want to be the best model, to be on the covers of Times, whatever, New York magazines, but you're always with footballers. You'll be confusing your own self.
Yeah.
So try to associate yourself with people who are going to help you achieve your goal
goals.
so that you can break the barrier. I've met a certain lady, she's a very good model. I tell her, why are you not doing this modeling? I'm like, hey, this field, you cannot make it. In these countries, you must do what with people for you to make it. I'm like, no, if you go there and you're trying to show those people that I'm ready to give myself to make my dream, then they're going to take advantage
of it. Yeah.
You make sure, if you had a goal of being the best model, you're going to face those challenges. But darling, be professional, and those people will know this girl has a dream to achieve.
Present the talent, present the
talent, present the skill. They will know this girl has a dream to achieve, has a goal to achieve. Why can't I be part of her story when she has made it? Instead of them asking for other favors here
on
and
the
there.
side.
So don't kill your dream because you feel like it doesn't matter how many no's you've received on your way.
That's very key.
It doesn't matter how many discouragement you've received on your way. Keep on walking. And there are so many people you're going to inspire.
As you
so
walk.
many people you're going to inspire, of young generation, that you're going to tell them, girls, I made it without any favors. It's hard work. It's people I've associated myself with that were helping me towards achieving my goal. And you will make it.
Thank you. That was very, very powerful, Ms. Elizabeth. Thank you for that as well. And I hope even for the girls, the young women who are listening us here today, you feel just even a tide changing. It might not be big, like Elizabeth has said. Just start with one goal. Just write that one down. That's enough. You don't have to have 55 goals so that you tell yourself you're serious.
And of course,
you're now focusing
has to be like reasonable.
And
so say in the next 5 years, I want to have to build a mansion, and when you don't have even 5,000 in your account right now. So make it let it be realistic.
Goals actually build on each other.
Yes.
So you can start with and then continue to build and improve the goals, and now they'll become larger once you have the capability to be able to tackle such large goals. Thank you very much, Madam Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us even here today. I think it's wonderful to hear just how much you've been able to integrate into a vision that the organization ACWICT has had for close to 20 years, but to actually see that you can come study and then say, you know what, there's something here. It's fine. I'm earning my 9 to 5 there. I'm collecting my check at the end of the month. I'm paying my bills, so forth. But where does my true passion lie? Where does my true joy come from? And I think you finding that in empowering girls and women, first of all, is very commendable, and congratulations. And it still amazes me as I sit here as well, just to hear what you've done, to hear some of the challenges you've had to face, and some of the adversaries or conversations, as hard as they might have been, but you still had to hard. And even such heartbreaking moments where you're seeing no car keys being chosen for a woman, it's just dishes on gender roles, and it must be very, very heartbreaking. But for you to find the strength that the next day you're still there, even if they didn't pick the keys, but the next day we are there, we are fresh, it's a brand new day. We are fighting this all over again. So you can see that there's also that some strength that you're giving yourself, some driver that you have within yourself that says, look, every day I'll show up. And that's all we have to do. Just every day show up. And so if Madam Elizabeth didn't show up every day, she couldn't have been speaking about all these things that I've been able to do as an individual, as well as contributing to creative generations. We couldn't be here listening to her today if she didn't continue to show up. So thank you very much, Madam Elizabeth. It's been wonderful. We commend you for the wonderful work you've been able to touch, the lives that you've been able to change so far. And for the listeners, if you've interacted hard about creative generations, hard the type of work that they do, or then again, it's your first time and you'd like to integrate, link, learn, please kindly, it will be in the comment sections. We'll be able to drop some links. You can be able to search, you can be able to see just the kind of work that creative generations and Madam Elizabeth have been able to dive into, and the kind of journey and pathway and result that's being looked at. And finally, on my account, on my part, I think the key message that I would give, especially for women, and I know
we are all women here, but the generational gap can also dictate how we go through experiences. The same experience, but obviously very differently as well. But it's the same principality for us as well. And for women around my age, just in the mid to late 20s, I want you to know that you're capable, you are worthy as well. I know this is a very sensitive time, considering the things that have been happening within the country. But know that you are capable, know that you are worthy, know that even the place that you feel that you're stuck in now, that's not what's meant for you. That's not it for you. There's so much more that you're destined for. There's so much more that you deserve. And there are only two things at that point. You want to, one, give that to yourself. Like, you don't want to disappoint yourself. You don't want to, at the end of the day, when the lights are out, you're sitting and you're criticizing yourself. You're saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Mm-hmm. So one, you want to be able to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed and achieve all you wanted to achieve. And then two, like Madam Elizabeth has said, I'm just shadowing on that. Get people, surround yourself with the right crowd so that then they can add that second aspect of, just the mentorship, the inspiration from outside. You've sorted yourself inside, you're ready, you're focused, then now surround yourself with a group that's ready and focused as well to proceed to achieve many, many more things in their lifetime and in their specific aspects. So thank you very much. I know it's been a heavy discussion. There might have been triggers here and there. We do understand, and at the same time, I hope we were able to just navigate them as calmly as we could, as understandingly as we could. But at the end of the day, I think for the three of us here, for the women back at home, let's all continue to strive to inspire inclusion, not just on this month that is for us, that we celebrate our achievements, and talk about how we can improve and build a world where every girl is heard and has an opportunity to reach her full potential. But then, because we have to show up for ourselves every single day. So isiishe na March peke yake. Don't stop inspiring inclusion once we hit April 1st. Don't stop, being your own voice as a woman. Don't stop being a woman's woman. Don't stop fighting for all these different initiatives you have to break through all these different prejudices just because March imeisha, or even just because 8th March has come and passed. It's not just one day. It's not just 1 month. It's every single day for us. And I think once we have that consistency and once we stand by each other, because I think that's Madam Elizabeth even mentioned it, that we are our own worst enemies. So if we stand by each other and move together in that unity, I think we'll be able to cover much, much more distance as compared to an individual trying to trek it through on their own. For the fellow men, I know your listeners as well for lead series for a very long time, and you might think you want to skip this episode because it's just about women and the things that we go through, but we need you more. Stand by your women, stand by us as well. There's nothing men have, and I'm not in any way trying to speak for you because we don't have the same experiences, but you can see that the type of friendship and following that they have. So for example, if this man stands by this woman and his friends are there, he can quickly convince them very easily.
Yes.
They have a very particular dynamic like that. It won't take a lot of time to convince them. Let's all stand here, guys. Yeah. So you have that power to, as well as push this agenda and continue to stand by the young women and just all young women, girls within the society. So stand with us, stand with your women, stand the one closest to you. It starts at home. The one closest to you. How do you respect them? How do you make sure that they garner all these opportunities that can be there? How do you make sure that their voice is heard as equally as yours is heard once such conversations come in? So we need you as much as you don't think that we need you in this fight. You might think that it's just for women, but really no. We'd hope that you'd stand with us even in this fight. We'd hope that you'd also believe in the same agenda of inclusivity, not for women to rise above you, but for us to be included
and heard after not being heard for very many years. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Thank you for always tuning in to Lead Series. It's a wonderful, wonderful time each time to be able to speak on such wonderful matters. It's the entire month of March. We're celebrating women's achievements in every single field. So make sure that then back at home, celebrate your mother, celebrate your sister, celebrate your auntie. Let them know that they are seen and valued for all that they have worked for and for all that they have done, whether it's just even for raising you. So celebrate any woman, any young girl who's next to you. Let them know that this is their month and that they're hard and that they're loved and that there's so much more that they can be able to achieve. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next episode.